Hey guys, today I'll be talking about a very interesting topic, and it is never say never. Okay, so we're having morning prayers in my house, and as we read through the commentary in the devotional we usually use, the person wrote and said that every human body contains about 60% of water. And so immediately I heard it, I was like, that person doesn't know what he's saying. Like basic biology teaches us that every human body contains 70% of water. And I said it so confidently and I was so sure. And immediately I said that. My husband picked up his phone and he Googled it and he was like, babe, it's not like I don't believe what you're saying, but just for information's sake, for us to be very sure so that in future when we get this information any other place, we can be confident about it. Considering I was just mentioning basic biology as per is what my teachers have told me and all of that. So once we Googled it, the first search result we got was 60%, that every human body has 60% of water. And I was like, no, that cannot be right. I'm not sure Google is right. Like I was legit fighting Google. But guess what? We decided to read on, check other searches and read on. And guess what we discovered? We discovered that the human body contains a range of from 60% to 75% water. So since it's a range, it's safe to say 60, it's safe to say 70. And I was like, oh, so is a varying degree, right? Depending on each person. So it's a range. But I always believed it was just 70. And I learned something deep and profound from that experience. Now, here's my lesson. There are certain things we know and we are so sure, and because of our belief systems, we don't open our minds to other things. There may be new discoveries about that thing. There may be new ideas. New things may have sprung up that we have no idea about. But some of us are so stuck and fixated on what we have always known, and we are not ready to shift ground. I can liken it to the Pharisees. The Pharisees, do you know that they were the laws of Moses they always held on to that made them to always fight Jesus? It was right, it was legit. It's the laws that are in the Bible, right? But Jesus was a fulfillment of the law, a fulfillment of prophecies. But because they were not even open to see that these laws we have always believed, there's a new development about them. It didn't help them. So they couldn't get or enjoy the benefits that came with Jesus. Why? They were just so against him. We must be careful and guided not to be fighting the truths that are right before us. Certain times we keep fighting things that the reality is right before us, but simply because we have believed in a particular way, in a methodology, we have always felt it must be like this. A must always come before B. 2 plus 2 must always equal 4. So sometimes it's very difficult for us to enter into new understanding, to embrace new technologies, new teachings, and new development. That doesn't say that we should be people that lack principles. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything, right? But we must be sure that the principles we have and we have embraced is not just so we are not just being so static and then we are not open to new things. As much as having principles is good, we must be open to new development when new understandings are coming, when growth is coming. Do you know even your understanding of scriptures 2 years ago is not the same understanding you have now? Not because God has changed, but because as you grow in intimacy with God, you understand some scriptures better. Some things you were saying 2 years ago, right now, if you're asked the same thing, you will say different answers, not because totally different, but because you have grown. And so, with a broader perspective, with better understanding, you answer some of those questions or do those same things differently. So, never say never. Never get to the point where you feel like it can never be like this, because with God, there is always surprises.